All right. In this session, we're going to talk about file, edit, and view. Um, most of everything is pretty straightforward in here. And again, we're not going to go into every little piece of it um, because I don't use every little piece, and it's unlikely that you will use every little piece. But we'll kind of touch on most things here. Um, File, you're going to find what you would expect, right? New, open, open recent, close, save as, save as copy, save as template, and we'll create our own templates. And we'll talk about that in class. So when you open up a new file, it just opens up to what we want to see here. But down here at document settings is what we'll go into a little bit more. Document preferences, you go, there are different tabs up here. Shadows, plan mode, resolution, that's more kind of 3D stuff and things that we're not really going to get into. Display, you can do black and white only. The things that you may want to deal with in here, adjust flip text, so you can't have text upside down. More often than not, actually, I end up unclicking that because if I'm making something screwy and I need this text upside down, I need the text upside down. But also here in dimensions, and then you can see my standard is Dave. There are a bunch of different standards here. I created my own, mostly because it's a little cleaner, it's a little more condensed, and that's what I like. I use the smallest linear markers here. The text is in the center of the dimension line. It's just really small, and so if I have a situation where I've got a bunch of dimensions that I've got to put on a page, it's just a little tighter. The text is horizontal when it if I'm doing horizontal dimensions. I like it. It's not so out of the realm of the ordinary, and you'll see it here when we go through. But I usually use this just because, like I said, it's a little tighter. You can import, you can export, right? You can bring in AutoCAD stuff, DXF, DWG, DFW. Images, you can bring in all sorts of stuff. You can import PDFs. There's a lot of 3D stuff. There's SketchUp. You can export, pretty much all of the same things and what you would expect. Export instrument data we're going to deal with when we talk about lighting. But publish is really kind of what the thing that we'll talk about here the most. When I do a drawing, my file kind of pretty much just looks like this. I just start throwing my elevations or whatever they are onto my screen and spacing them out in a way. And then I have saved views, and you can see right here, this gray line is my piece of paper for whatever saved view that is. But let's go to, I don't know, elevation G. And then I'm gonna look out at the whole page. And so this is my drawing here, right? I've got a little title block here, but I have a whole bunch of those, right? You can see each drawing has, or each elevation, each unit has its own save view. So when I go over to File, Publish, all those saved views are here, and I can move them over. Say, okay, I'm going to publish them all as PDFs. I can save them, and now I have this packet of PDFs that now I can send to someone or I can print. And it's just kind of a nice way to organize my files. There are a lot of different ways, and we'll talk about a couple other ways, but there are a lot of ways to organize your files. edit, you're gonna find the things that you're gonna find. Undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, paste and place, paste as bitmap, clear, duplicate, duplicate array, and duplicate along path are the things that we're gonna really talk about here. Let's go to another file. And so, zoom in on my little guy here. So I've got a little square here, X. So I'm going to duplicate, and nothing really happens because I have it set to not offset my duplications. It just will duplicate right on top. And so then I've got another one. And if I can Control D a bunch of times, I've got a whole bunch of duplicates, right? Kind of a rookie mistake is sort of to forget, or you start to draw and you're like, did I duplicate that? And you duplicate it a couple times and you have a bunch of stuff. Let me select it. Duplicate array, right? You can do rectangular array, so you can do number of columns, rows, stacks, distance between columns, distance between stacks. Let's see what this one does. Kind of does that. Let's do it again. Let's do a little more, 15, because I think that's. So now you can see it kind of spread them out a little bit more. I don't know how big that is. Let's take another, let's pull it out here. Duplicate array, and do a linear array, right? And offset them by 18 inches there. Let's do this. And then it's going to rotate them. It should be, yep, sort of this up along this 45-degree line. Take that, and then let's draw a circle here. So we can also, you have to have selected, duplicate along a path, right? And we'll use the circle as the path. You can see the boxes highlighted red. If I go to next, that's selecting the path. So the circle is going to be the path. We'll do 5 duplicates. We'll center along the path and make them tangent to the path. And so it will do that. Right. Let's undo. Let's duplicate along path. Let's just center it on the path. Oop. Let's continue to use our circle so we can actually see. Center along path. All right, there. And then let's just do tangent to path. And it put those around the tangent sort of in the same distance from that circle as it had been. Great. View, there's not much. Most of this is becomes in the 3D stuff, and we'll get into a little more. But the thing that you really want to think about and deal with now, these 3 shortcuts, normal scale, so it'll bring it back to 100%. Fit to page, fit to page area, fit to objects. Control 4, I'm using pretty much all the time to bring it back so I can see that full view. But those are really handy. Class options, we'll talk about classes. As I don't use too many classes, I usually just leave it as show snap, modify others, so I can change them. I usually use the none and the dimension class. And so that's fine for for what I do, and probably for most of what we do. We may get into something a little different, but you can see only the active class, gray the others, gray snap the others, show snap others. Layers, it's not what I would normally have. I usually do show snap others because I'm usually lining things up to it, but I don't necessarily want to move those other layers. Typically, every time you're drawing is in the sort of default top plan view, and Control 5 is the shortcut for that. And so if you end up finding yourself in the three-dimensional world, we'll go to the three-dimensional world, this, right, Control 5 will get you back to where you want to be. So again, these are all related to three-dimensional things, and we won't really get into much of them at this moment in time. Yeah, so that is it for this session.